and I'm gonna figure out what it is.
How old are you?
Natalia was a child.
She was an adult.
She was gonna kill everybody.
You've adopted a kid and now they're trying to kill you. I mean, it's the stuff of a horror movie, right?
Natalia was a victim. The Barnetts are the predators.
I'm charged with child neglect. Is that correct?
When they said not guilty, he looked at us and he smirked. It was like watching my daughter be raped.
In every lie is a hidden truth. But you gotta dig enough to be able to see it. This is my side of the story. Do I look like a monster to you? I want the puzzle to be complete.
This is all the stuff you don't know.
There are things I'm gonna tell you that you've not heard from anyone else.
They're heartless cowards. It makes you sick to your stomach.
That's not love. That's hate.
How did they shut these doctors up? How did they hide all this evidence?
Natalia was the instrument to propagate the lie.
I was a kid. You just took their word for it.
You're supposed to be my dad. You're supposed to be the one to protect me.
Natalia really needs some answers. Michael, he needs to put this to rest. You have to dig to get to the truth.
Did you know that she pepper sprayed me?
We're not getting into that subject.
I was never in y'all's room with a knife.
You were gonna kill everybody.
What would happen with the knife? I lashed out.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
I tried. You still walking free. Leave me alone.
I don't know what the truth is.
I want to know the answers to these questions.
Are you sorry?
And I want people to pay for what they've done.
All right. There you got it. All right. Have a good night. Good day. That was the end. Welcome everyone. It is Trill Crime Time. I changed my name just for the show. Otis B. Trill, Bobby 2 Trill, Kelly 2 Trill. We're all 2 Trill.
Yeah.
We got a comment on the when last week's show when we talked about, forgive me, I got a cold, a head fog.
Going around.
Yeah, it is. But last week's show, when we talked about Gypsy, we had a comment that said, I ain't going to, I missed it, but, I've heard enough of this, criminal, find some cold cases or whatever. Well, the normal cases that we take and cover, there's nothing really, happening. So, unfortunately, I believe her name was Debbie. So if you're listening, Debbie, I'm sorry, but this is going to be another one of those shows we're talking about, as you see in the beginning, Natalia Grace. But before we get into that, let's go around the room. Let's give our opinions of some of the cases that we talked about. I got some big news. We've talked about the Cheryl Coker case. Still trying to figure out who did that one.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. We got to call Scooby and the gang for this one.
Yeah.
We have one of Tina's. It's going to be a good show because we're going to have a lot of friends of Cheryl. To share their fondest memories, to talk about her, to celebrate her life a little bit, and then get into the nuts and bolts of the case and find out what those closest to her throughout the years think about what's going on, what happened, and such. Miss Tina Wilson, and I hope I get this right. I think her husband is Todd. I believe if
right.
Yeah, I think it is. And Miss Shelley. Shelley has joined us before to talk mainly about who Cheryl was as a person. We got that coming up here in just a couple weeks. It's either going to be the 22nd or the 24th. Haven't really nailed down which day, but doesn't matter because I'm off work on those days. and you guys are on it like Blue Bonnet. That was so stupid. Why'd I even say that? That was dumb. But we got some big things. Kelly to Trill and Los Zilla, her better half, is you guys are gonna come out and visit us in March. And we plan on doing some big things with this Cheryl Coker case. Bobby Two Trill, myself, have been talking about going to the site where they found the remains, because the hyoid, that is the word of the case, the hyoid bone, that is in your throat, that is normally broken or fractured in the case of any kind of strangulation. It can happen, you can get injured and crack that son of a bitch, but if you don't get it taken care of within like 48 hours type thing, you could die of asphyxiation. That bone was missing. There wasn't a whole lot of bones that they did collect. That could be the missing piece, huh, Bobby?
It could be, man, because if you could find that and it's shown to be broken, that happens in almost 70% of all strangulations.
Yeah.
Manual strangulations, and it happens even more so in strangulations that involve a rope or, a grotto, whatever they call those. But yeah, it could be, and a good medical examiner could find out if those happened during the course of the murder or if they happened later due to animals or whatever. So that could be the case. If we could find something like that, and any bone that we find, obviously collect it, and anything could work. But we're not going to give up on trying to beat this evil that people let just slide by with everything. She should have somebody speaking for her. And
absolutely,
the three of us for sure.
Absolutely,
we're gonna do whatever we can. It ain't just on the police to do the work and stuff. They're supposed to be public servants. We all know they work for the state.
Sorry.
No,
Losing
exactly.
you guys already.
Where'd you go?
I'm back.
But so you got to take it into our own hands, I guess, because they don't really seem to be a priority to them, considering everything they got could convict this guy in a fucking heartbeat. So they don't seem to care. We're going to care for Cheryl. She seemed to be a really fucking cool chick. And I've seen those videos in the past. That's somebody I would have got along with for sure, man. She's like family. Let's go. Let's go get this guy somehow, some way, and put this fucking dude away.
So we're going to have the Trill crime crew in March, along with hopefully we can gather up a nice little search party, if you will. And take and hit that spot where they found the bones, see if we can find anything. It's been years, but hey, weirder shit has happened in the Trill crime case. Kelly, what's your thoughts on the? I'm sorry, Bobby. Do you have something you want to say?
I was just gonna say, you never know until you try, man. There ain't no harm in going out and looking around.
100% chance that you're not gonna find anything is if you don't fucking go.
That's right.
But you may have a small, percentage of a chance to find something that was maybe missed or overlooked. And Tina has expressed to me that she has questioned that search and whatnot from day one, that it feels like they didn't do enough. There was hardly any people. They were out there searching. There was hardly any people, which is sad. But go ahead, Kelly. What's your thoughts on this?
That's actually what I was going to touch on when you said that, was the fact that now that we've been in contact with some of her close friends or people in the area, they are letting us know that there were very little people that came out to help participate. So there's a huge possibility that something was missed. And I mean, there's been tons of cases where bones were found years and years after the fact. So they might be scattered, but I mean, they don't just disappear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And generally when an animal is getting a hold of them, they're not consuming the whole thing. They might chew on them. There might be some damage, but they're likely scattered somewhere out there. They could be buried under soil at this point after storms or snow. But, I feel like there has to be something else out there. And even if there's not, putting the effort forth, I think is well worth it if it wasn't done previously. I think she deserves that at the very least.
Well,
So I'm
I'm going
looking
to say
forward to it.
there's 100% chance that there's more bones out there because they don't have a full skeleton.
Yeah.
So, animals probably picked it up and moved it around.
Yeah.
And Bobby, you had mentioned last week, just talking, off the show that, God, where was I going with that one? Oh, that they probably, went there, they seen a mass amount, like a big pile of bones, and didn't really search much more after that. I mean, because who knows how far them animals could have taken it.
Yeah, they may not have looked 100 yards away where a buzzard might drop it or something like that. Or
sure, absolutely.
And so it's worth a shot. And before Bill gets any ideas, if he sees this, there just might be some trail cams out there. So watch out, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Don't go
And
out
again,
there
it's just sad to know how many people are being rung up by this guy at Costco and, getting in there with their memberships and have no idea that someone who's possibly, which we believe, capable of murder, just hanging out, living his life. So
yeah.
Right.
Oh, I seen him. He's
Yeah.
he's an eerie dude. He's a crazy dude. I was like just a couple feet from him. He was ringing my daughter out at Costco. It was a very surreal. What's happening, Chaos? Give me a thumbs up if my my audio sounds okay. Every once in a while, my audio will be wacky. I don't know if it sounds good. It may sound good to you, but like going through the stream, it seemed a time or two, not very often, but a time or two, it does happen to just get a little wonky. I don't know.
Yeah, so far so good.
Awesome. So
and
yeah,
we do have a list of cold cases that we're going to try to hopefully go over the next couple weeks for, that viewer that was interested in some new cold cases. We were checking out some in Pennsylvania, some in Ohio, some in Maryland. So all kind of within that couple states. So hopefully we'll pick out some more that we can assist in just getting information out about.
Absolutely. Because a lot of things are, thank you, Chaos. A lot of things are on hold. Next would be Delphi, that whole fucking debacle. Delphi, we have the 18th of January, I believe is the day, Kelly.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Okay. The 18th of January, live streaming from the Supreme Court in Delphi there. Waiting to see if Gall is removed from the case. Two, if they can, if Richard Allen can get his original defense team back. And I always forget the third one. What was the speedy trial. To have this trial not last, because as of now, we're not looking until like October. It's been around Halloween every year. So we're looking, at October, and this is unreal. I mean, so I'm really interested. Again, let's just go around the room. Kelly, what's your thoughts on this? What do you think's going to happen with all this?
I think we should call Murder Sheet and ask them their opinion, because that's probably what will determine the verdict there, in my opinion. But we'll just throw that out there. No, I'm really hoping to have Gall thrown off the case, just for I feel like it's not. I don't feel like it's fair on all ends to have her continue at this point. I think there's been too much drama surrounding it, too much publicity. And I think there's too many things tainted with this case at this point. And I think just having a fresh perspective view the case would just be best on all ends.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't agree with a lot of things Gall has done, which we have all discussed before. I'm not a huge fan of hers. I don't know what's on her plate at this point. I frankly don't really care. But I just feel like a fresh perspective could really make a difference here. And I do truly hope he gets his defense attorneys back. I can't in any way, everything that I've researched, like I said, I'm not in law. I don't have a law degree, but everything that I've researched is pointing to how this is criminal that they were taken from her or from him, from Richard Allen, and how it just doesn't make sense. So I hope he gets his attorneys back so that it's not pushed back to October, because this is just 2 years of a person being in jail, not convicted, or in prison. Part of that time, it's just, I don't see how that is humane or the way our system is supposed to work. And so I hope he gets justice for that. And I want justice for the girls. I'm not saying 100% he's innocent. I'm on the side that I don't believe it's him. But in the end, we're also pushing out justice for the girls by doing that. And then you're another 2 years in, for what? Let's just get it going, get it taken care of, and see if we need to move on to the next
And
person
that,
or not.
and that's the bottom line, justice for Libby and Abby. But it does speak volumes, Bobby, when the Supreme Court is looking at this. They don't just take any case. There has to be some really concrete, evidence that some wrongdoing, some illegal shit was going on. What's your thoughts?
Public pressure has got us to the point where we're at right now, for sure.
Absolutely.
The way I see it is they're going to drag their feet on this a little bit until people let their guard down, just like the media and everybody always does. And, the courts always do. They'll take Richard Allen to trial. I think he'll be found not guilty. And then if there is another couple years, maybe in a couple years, we'll see him actually going after the right people.
And that's sad.
I think Indiana is so corrupt to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know if there's much hope for it, man.
It is. It's a cesspool of corruption. Our, what we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes, Natalia Grace, this family from Indiana. What the fuck is in the water out there? My goodness.
Yeah.
It's I too hope that there's this can get underway. Let's get to trial. Let's find out if all of the speculation and all of this and that all of us bad internet people are talking about with this case is true or not. Let's see all the evidence thrown on the table. Let's hear the arguments. Let's get this over with. And if it's not him, if it is not Richard Allen, they can't prove that without a shadow of a doubt, then let's get to moving. Now we got to do double time. Now we got to pick the pace up because you got this, the responsible people have been out for years now. I mean, this is ridiculous with all of the technology. It blows my mind, guys, with all of the technology that we have that is put in place to stop criminals. Or to, you're safe now because you have cameras everywhere. Okay, people, cameras don't stop crime. They videotape it. Okay, yes, it does help in capturing the right person, but it does not at all hinder that person doing anything.
Right.
And I think a lot of people just forget because there's so much publicity, which I know we've discussed this a couple times, the family members that are still struggling through this. Like I follow Libby's grandmom on Facebook and my heart breaks for her regularly. A couple times a week, I see a post from her about just wanting to be able to move forward. And she shares Libby's story constantly, which I love and appreciate that part of her. And so she shows pictures of her and videos from when she was here and just to keep her memory alive. And I can't imagine what she goes through daily.
I would love to, as Bobby, you had mentioned, I think I would love to get her on the show because as a grandparent myself, I can't imagine, what she's going through. And you want it to be over with, but you want the person that took your grandchild away from you behind fucking bars.
Right.
You don't want him out here taking other people's children and grandchildren,
And the fact that she's constantly looking over her shoulder. I know she's addressed that in the few interviews she was able to do before the gag order, because I know they aren't really allowed to speak a whole lot. She said, and her husband said also, we're constantly looking over our shoulder. Did you do it? Did you do it? It's torture. It is absolute torture to them to be out in the same areas where potentially the murder of their grandchild and grandchild's best friend is still lurking around, watching or doing whatever they want. It's just, that's heartbreaking. And I'm sure it is absolute torture to them. And I can't imagine. I really can't.
Think of how selfish and nasty it is to even have a gag order. Like, you all ain't allowed to say something and try to help us out, trying to figure out who did this because we're the ones who want all the glory from it and shit. It's ridiculous that we can't have open conversations and actually see the evidence so that we care. We want to find out too. And it ain't about glory. It's about Abby and Libby and the family.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to know their opinions. I'd love to know their opinions on whether or not
Yeah.
they think Richard Allen is guilty, because to be honest, and I don't know for sure, obviously, because I can't speak on it, but I get the feeling they don't feel that way. I get the feeling they want justice, but they've brought other names forward that were in the Frank's memorandum that we've all heard.
Yeah.
And that's kind of more where I'm leaning towards. And why would she present those names if she didn't have a feeling that that was the case? And now
Right.
you've also now put her at risk having that information out with that person still walking around. If this person is potentially that dangerous or could be involved in some type of cult movement, they could hurt her for speaking
Right.
up against them. And I don't know, the whole case just seems so out of whack and
I just want to pull your
irresponsible.
fucking dreads out, and I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago. It is sad. I feel for the family so much. And I always have from the beginning. That's what's kept us in this, and for the police to come out, and it seems like they bobbled this up from the very beginning. If it is Richard Allen, they bobbled it up for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then they got all the, you got FBI saying, look, it's more than likely these guys over here, but you ain't allowed to speak on it, but they're going to keep releasing shit. It is bizarre. And everything that's going on in Indiana right now is bizarre.
They have DNA from the crime scene. Who does that DNA match to? Who do the fingerprints match to? Is it the person sitting in prison, or are we wasting our time? And that to me is mind-blowing. You never hear anything else about the DNA or the fingerprints found at that scene. It was in a clip from the Down the Hill podcast documentary, because they originally did a podcast and they did that documentary, and the sheriff there discusses the fact that there were fingerprints and DNA, but no one has ever elaborated on that or who that belongs to.
Could it have been saliva from Elvis Fields, like he admitted to?
And that was my thought also.
Yeah. Next in line, we, and I haven't been following this case really at all here of late. We've been mostly focused on, Delphi and, of course, the Cheryl Coker case. But the Idaho 4, has anybody looked much? I haven't seen much going around. I haven't personally. I know you haven't either, because we've talked about that. Kelly, is there anything that you've seen here of late regarding the Idaho 4? I know the last, they tore down the house, which is bizarre to me. I know it's all in under the guise of public interest. It's sad, and it reminds us. Sorry, you're not going to get that out of your head that these 4 individuals were brutally murdered. You're not going to get that out of your head. A house isn't going to, demolishing a house isn't going to erase a memory. So I don't really understand that a whole lot. But what's your thoughts, Kelly, on Idaho 4? If you've heard anything, and just your personal opinions of this.
That was my most recent research. Also found that they had demolished the house, which I know they had talked about for a while. And the detectives and prosecution was in the process of making like a 3D model that could be used in court, because they were going to demolish the house. And they said that
I remember hearing that. Yeah,
that could hinder evidence in court. So what disturbs me about it is, again, like you said, it's not going to erase the memory. I understand not renting it out to anyone else, not making it accessible to the public, but at the same time, keeping it around until the trial is over, until someone's convicted, made more sense to me. And what disturbs me is that the family members of the victims repeatedly asked to have it not demolished in case there was any other evidence that could have possibly been found there. And
at least till after the trial, if that's what you want to do. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what they asked. They said, do whatever the hell you want with
Fuck
it
the
after.
family.
But, in the process of this trial, make sure that you keep it here, because the amount of trace evidence that was found in that house, I can't imagine they found it all. The amount of blood that they said was involved in that crime. The biggest thing that stands out to me about this case is the fact that there was blood leaking into the outside of the house. Because it was such a horrific scene.
And then I heard that wasn't actually blood. And by the way, when I said "fuck the family," that was sarcasm. I just want to make sure the viewers, were aware. I'm not that cold-hearted. But there was, I actually heard somewhere. Well, I am, just the mic's never turned on. I heard that wasn't actually blood.
Okay,
I had heard somewhere that it was, I don't know, some insulation. I've never seen insulation do that, or any kind of, I don't. But I mean, it looked like blood to me. I don't know.
The scene that was there and left there,
Yeah.
they've said multiple times, was very gory. A lot of blood spatter. A lot of evidence was there. So I understand the
How
FBI
do
does
you
a
get
great
it
job at
all?
finding things, but I feel like there have been so many cases where things are found later, and I just feel like that was a big mistake on their part. And I understand the school's take on it, but at the same time, it's just odd to me. It's disturbing for the families themselves. And I have heard the other case that I know Bobby talked about. I can let you touch on that if you want to. I don't know if you want to bring that up, but we had talked about it in the chat. That was kind of a different spin on the roommate, which I've always been a little bit cautious about the roommate, and the fact that they admit that they saw a person outside of the room and then went back to bed. If I saw somebody in my house, I don't think I'm just closing the door and going back to bed. I also find it odd that you didn't hear anything, because this was a pretty gruesome murder. It's very loud. I can't imagine someone getting stabbed that many times and not yelling or yelping, even if they were
right.
like, you didn't kill them immediately. And so I just can't wrap my head around that still. So I'll let Bobby touch on that if he wants to. But we did hear some other things. I don't know if you want to touch on that or not. But,
okay.
Yeah, there was some other things brought up about a roommate as well, that I kind of find curious.
Yeah.
Pretty strange, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you
Pretty
not want
weird.
to touch on it?
I mean, the word. All right. Look, I'm just gonna set you up. I'm gonna put your back against the wall, Bobby. There have been some people on the interwebs, and we'll entertain it.
Yeah,
all
why
right.
not?
Not saying that this is the truth. This is how. I mean, it's just, we're just theorizing. I think, as I've said, with any time that you look at a case that is unsolved, nothing should be put. Everything should be put on the table. There should be nothing off the table. And this was,
and they're not our theories. These are things we heard from other people that we just want to present to you guys in case you can make your own opinions.
Let's
absolutely.
What's
Bobby,
weird
go
is
ahead. The floor is yours.
I didn't even know that this was out there until I looked into it the other day. But the first time I ever saw pictures of the roommates, and I'm just going to say it because it might sound silly, but you got to brainstorm sometimes. I'm going to do it in front of everybody. Is that Dylan didn't really totally look like a female to me, a young in her 20s female. She looked like a transitioning guy to me from the very beginning. There's unknown male DNA found in the house. I wouldn't mind going down. And, there's nothing wrong with asking, and there's not, the questions are out there. And so I looked into it, and I found out, hey, there's more people saying this than just me thinking it. There's actually people months and even a year ago that were saying this.
Right.
And what if is all I can say. What if?
Because it is
that's what's being hidden. So from what I understand, is Dylan is not wanting to cooperate, does not want to be in court. They're testifying.
Regardless of whether it's transitioning, whether it's regardless of that, the fact that we'll say she with Dylan, does not want to cooperate is a huge red flag, Bobby.
There's amongst other red flags, like not calling the police for over 8 hours when you said you were scared to death. Being the last people to kind of see your roommates when they come in at night. It seems to me like this would be the number one suspect right away. These two roommates would be the number one suspects immediately. Like
you were
the
there.
Ones we got a question right now.
Yeah.
And we got to get DNA from and everything. And I'm wondering if they did collect Dylan and Bethany's DNA. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it, but I swear to you,
and you can look up the videos. It's kind of like just a theory of, was something exposed in regards to her sexuality that she didn't want people to know. That was
there was a video when they were coming back from the bar. It was the two girls and the guy that was with them, Jake or Jack or whatever his name was coming back, and Maddie was asked by the one girl, what did you tell Adam? And she said, I told him everything. And it sounded like Jack in the video said, they're going to come after you for that. And I would like to know what that's about. Could Kohberger and Dylan have known each other kind of deal? Were they doing something on the side? Did the roommates find out about it? All these questions, I mean, they're questions. Anybody who's going to investigate a case, you go down every path, and the ones that don't make no sense, we might kick this out in a week and say, this is stupid.
Absolutely.
But you gotta, it seems to me like, I don't know, it's worth looking at, because when I first saw Dylan, the first picture that I saw from Dylan, I thought, that doesn't really look like a woman to me. That's just me as a guy, I dig on women. I've always liked women. I can look at Kelly and go, man, that's a woman right there. There's no doubt.
Right.
A messy one.
With Dylan, I can't necessarily do that.
And in a week, we could find out Kelly is not Kelly.
I hope you are, because
there has been dudes named Kelly.
Yes, I know a couple actually.
See that?
There have been. Yep. But how many dudes do you know that have been named Dylan? When I think of Dylan, I think of
my son-in-law,
Dylan Mulvaney. These are all, Dylan Mulvaney is a transgender. But yeah, like Dylan Klebold. The Dylans that I've known in my life or heard of have all been guys. Not to say that means anything. You could name your kid whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But I don't know. It's worth looking into to me.
And in the end, I definitely still think Kohberger is involved. I think Kohberger was at the scene. I think Kohberger definitely participated in the murders, but I just feel like there might be more of a connection with him and those roommates, because the story the roommates have it doesn't seem like a typical way to respond when your roommates are being murdered and you're in the house while it's happening. I just can't imagine you didn't hear anything. You said you saw something, and there's no way in hell I could go back to bed and sleep after seeing someone in my home I didn't recognize that was in all black, and I couldn't figure out who they were, and it spooked me. I probably am not just going back to sleep. I'd have probably called one of my roommates right then and there and said, hey, do you have somebody there? I'm not trying to be nosy, but do you have somebody visiting you that, I wouldn't recognize? Or, maybe I would go out of the room. I don't know. I might be stupid enough to go out there and be like, who the hell are you? I just can't imagine just not questioning it. I guess it's just, that's an odd behavior to me. Not typical behavior you would expect.
By her own admission, she was scared. That's what she said. She was scared and went back into her room. Didn't make any attempt to text one of your roommates at all and say, hey, are you guys okay? Didn't want to call the police. You were scared.
Yeah.
But she didn't do all that. She was literally across the hall from Zana and Ethan's room where they were being murdered, brutally murdered.
Right.
And something's really off there with me. And, you hate to say it, because if she's a victim that sucks. And I hate to say, but at this point, no answers have come out of her mouth, and I think it's owed. All we get is that Dylan's over here playing video games and gaming online and going out partying and shit. Well, there's questions there. I'm not going to testify.
We should ask Drip Drop. Drip Drop is he's the guy you want on the case. Because that is the one. I mean,
the man.
He's the man. He's
is
the drip.
The man. No, is the question.
He's the drip and the drop.
Yeah, and people might think that's stupid. What a road to go down. If you don't go down the road, you don't know. I'm gonna go down the road. I'm gonna check it out. I've been looking into some stuff, and there is a possibility that this might be the case, that where you actually have two men going after these four people in this place.
Yeah.
If nothing else, that Dylan might be involved with Kohberger in some way, even if it is a woman, and they both might have had something to do with it. What was the whole conversation about? I told Adam everything at the bar.
Yeah.
What were they talking about?
Because that is sus to us. That's a Drip Drop reference. Giving all kind of love to the Drip Drop.
Drip Drop.
Another very sad case with a lot of victims, and I just feel like or what you would expect from a typical victim that just had multiple friends killed, You would
Yeah.
think, and I get not every person responds the same way. Everybody can respond differently to trauma, but I feel like normally you would expect someone to say, let me offer whatever information I can give, being an eyewitness, so that my friends didn't die in vain, that they can get justice. And so it just, I don't know, something doesn't sit right with me. Is it? Not saying she's guilty of anything or that she is not a she. There's a lot of just strange factors that are surrounding that case.
I agree.
And, if you punch in just Dylan Mortensen on YouTube and you look at all the videos that come up, almost all of them are questioning why it took so long to call the police and things. Everybody has questions.
Yep.
And those questions need to be answered at some point.
That was my first deal. I mean, yeah, like you said, Kelly, to reiterate, everybody deals with, something like that happening. But if you shut the door and you lock the door, you should be calling 911 real quick. If nothing else, it's not like, you're going to be punished if it was benign.
Yeah.
But get someone out there. Because apparently this person wanted nothing to do with Dylan or the other roommate. They walked right past Dylan. Dylan stated bushy eyebrows. It don't look like he has bushy eyebrows to me, but as you said, Bobby, he's got a very pronounced, brow. Yeah. So maybe that's what she equated to, bushy eyebrows. But, in the heat of the moment, I mean, that's going to be my first. I mean, maybe. That'd be my first thing.
At the very least, like I said, call the roommate and say, "Hey, you got somebody visiting? Not here to bother you."
Because they were up all night. I mean, they were up till 4 o'clock. I think there's records of that. There was some door dashing going on. There was some TikTok or whatever going on. We know that. So you were up.
We know the days that we live in. She said she hollered up the stairs or whatever because she thought it was the dog that was jumping around. You don't do that these days. You text them and say, "Hey, could you calm your dog down?"
Yeah.
Didn't text any of the roommates. It is really suspicious to me.
Yeah.
That, and if you're yelling up the steps and somebody's there to massacre the entire household, how did you slip by without not even a scratch? Like, why didn't he realize you were in the room? You opened the door and looked right at him, so he probably saw you.
Yeah.
And then you're making enough noise that you're yelling up the steps. Admittedly, why didn't he come after you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right
A lot of questions there. We'll see. I don't know when court is scheduled for him, but these are all cases, I'm sure, amongst other ones. As you mentioned, Kelly, we do have a list of some cold case, cases. And we'll dive into that. And of course, we're going to be talking a lot about the Cheryl Coker case. For those who don't know, it's very much me and Bobby's stomping grounds. Very, very close to home. This one is, and as I mentioned, went to Costco with my daughter, who rang us up. Their number one and only suspect, Mr. William Billy Boy Coker. And as we like to say, because we do believe that she was strangled, the Coker Choker.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a better name than Bridge Guy. But before I get off into a tangent, I saved the last 20 minutes or so because I think that's all we really need with Natalia Grace.
It's a weird case.
I'm pretty sure 3 days Natalia Grace. 3 days Grace. I was trying to do a little play.
Sorry, I had a tortoise trying to eat nerfs that my son left on the floor, so I apologize.
Oh yeah,
stepping away.
I can't imagine that's good for their diet.
It's like they always know when I'm on the show. They always have to wreak havoc when I'm on here with you guys. That's what it feels like.
Tortoise to Trill.
She's been sleeping all morning. Now she's up pushing stuff around and trying to eat everything she can find on the floor. That's
hilarious.
Yeah.
You never know what you get here on True Crime Time. If anybody has seen the movie The Orphan, if you're a horror movie fan, you ever seen that movie? This story is basically a page out of that script. And the movie came out first, mind you. That's why I say it like that. Natalia Grace, apparently and I say apparently because she didn't really, I guess, understand any of her native tongue, being apparently, allegedly from the Ukraine, was adopted by Christine and Michael Barnett. And boy, that's a show in and of itself. Just those two. Because this story, like last week's with Gypsy, which we showed really no love towards any of them because they were all guilty, including doctors and everybody. Everyone is a victim and guilty of something in that case. And I believe that is also the case here. I was more on the side of Natalia. I had to refresh my memory. Working a lot, been sick. I had to refresh my memory last minute. I didn't get a chance to watch the ID channel's part 2 of that story where Natalia tells her side of the story. And there were some things in the end of that I was made aware of right before we started the show that kind of is making me change my mind a little bit. She was adopted. This was back in 2010, I believe.
I believe so.
When she was adopted. They thought they were getting a, what, a 7-year-old. And weird things started happening. For instance, this guy Michael. God.
Just look up some videos of him.
Oh
himself,
my
like
goodness. Some
about
weird things started happening. Michael claims that Natalia tried to get their sons run over by a car by throwing possessions of theirs in the middle of the road. And apparently these kids don't know you don't run out in traffic. So I'm blaming the boys too. If you run out in traffic and you don't, that possession that's in the middle of the road is more important than your life. Well, you probably need to get hit by a car to wake you up a little bit. That sounds mean, but that's how we give it here at Trill Crime. First of all, you shouldn't be running out in the middle of the fucking road. I don't care what I throw in the middle of the road. All right. And where were the parents when this was happening? Why didn't the parents, Michael and Christine, why didn't they take and stop the boys? Don't run out there. I think they took something like, I'm just going to throw this, out in the road. And they took that as trying to murder their 2 boys. That's my opinion of that. There was another instance where Michael claims he wakes up and there's Natalia staring at him with this blank look and a fucking knife in her hand. Straight out of a horror movie. How ironic. Again, The Orphan came out a year before they adopted Natalia, and they also apparently adopted the script because it does seem very similar.
Yep. You would think it was based off of their life. Like,
you really would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like, they should have, based on a true story. And this isn't the first case of this happening. There was a French guy. He was like in his 20s, mid 20s, maybe early 30s, posing as a 16-year-old. There's numerous cases of this happening. This one, I don't know if it's just because Michael is very much a sensationalist. And I don't know if anybody is really aware of Michael and his antics, but we're all going to view this little clip. I try not to throw up in your mouth. All right. Because he is hard to watch because it's like, all right, you're kind of overdoing it here. There's no Oscar involved here. Let's watch this.
Why are we here, Michael?
Why are we here? That's. Well, if you're talking philosophically.
No, like I want to
Listen
know.
to the way he
Why did you
speaks.
adopt me in the first place? Why?
Many of these questions, there's not going to be a single answer to. Look, I've learned recently you and I had the same monster, Christine. And we are here because we both were incredible victims of an otherworldly type of abuse.
For one, what the fuck is he even talking about here? I don't get it. What is an otherworldly beast? What is he? Does anybody
Abuse.
have a clue?
Ooh, another worldly abuse. Oh my goodness, sorry. My tortoise just came barely.
It's gonna
towards
knock
me.
you off that damn chair.
I am so sorry this happens every time.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, he's saying another worldly abuse. And
Oh.
I don't know. I don't.
I thought he said beast because it's funny when you watch part one of this, of that documentary came out in 2019. He's blaming everything on Natalia.
Mm-hmm.
He flips the script a little bit in part two, and he makes himself look like a victim, and he's blaming Christine.
Yep.
Mainly. That's why he says, we're both a part of, this abuse. I mean, for one, right there, she does look a little psycho. I'm just saying. She does look a little psycho.
Okay, first, I'm gonna say please don't cuss.
I'll do my best. I speak in a certain way. I'll do my best.
Second, what do you mean by you?
And she must have been adopted by the most recent adopted parents, right? Because they're in a church right here. And that's why she said, first of all, don't cuss.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cuss.
Yeah. Don't fucking cuss.
You were a victim.
Oh, God. This is all the stuff you don't know.
Yeah, look at that crazy ass.
Well,
Dude getting schooled by a 6-year-old.
This is not easy.
That dude looks familiar, man. Who
had
does
the
he
same
look
monster you
like,
did.
man?
I was exceptionally controlled and put down.
I don't know.
And threatened, was minimalized. Anything that was who I was ripped from me, and I was guided and instructed to be exactly what she wanted me to be.
See, there we go. Now he's taking and blaming everything on Christine, which Christine, mind you, is a shitbag too. Okay, I'm just gonna say that because one of their boys is autistic. I guess according to her, they said that he wouldn't speak. He had apparently a bad case of autism, and she wrote a book called Spark. Like she's the spark that turned. Now he's like got an IQ of like 170 or some shit. I mean,
he's super genius.
Yeah, and we see that a lot with autistic kids, that they are just on another plane of intelligence, and she makes it out like this is all her doing, that it was everything was about her. These two are very much, I guess the only word I have is narcissistic.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect word.
Look at this. Look at.
What am I fucking watching? I mean, is this like, is this an after school special?
Exactly, dude.
Do they act like actors, or is it me? Did they get these people from crisisactors.com?
Oh my gosh, you need to see the part where he's punching the floor then. If you think this is dramatic, there's a point in the first season where he's literally like punching the floor and he looks like a maniac. Like it looks like something out of a horror film. Like he's ready to kill someone. Like his eyes are crazy. He's got crazy eyes.
This dude right here, I know where he reminds me of now. He reminds me of that Christian Gabriel guy from the Erica Baker case. He looks just like that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that guy looks like, but I will take your word for it.
Just like him.
No, this guy, he tries really, really hard, and watch how dramatic he gets. Watch this, because I believe his lawyer is here. The one black fella. I think he's his lawyer.
Yeah, one of them is
and one is her, new adopted parent, I believe.
Why didn't
Maybe.
she leave?
That's the best question ever.
Best question ever.
I tried.
Look at him.
And these answers aren't going to be what you're looking for to a degree, but
there's a dude right there who's got a safe space in his house.
This drives me crazy. His constant putting his hair behind his ear. That's not.
Why did you marry her?
Yeah.
That's a hell of a question.
Here we go.
Before you do that, let's respect God in this place.
I'm sorry.
All right, let's not use curse words. I know you talk like this on a regular basis, maybe, but we try to keep a clean environment. So let's
this is really hard. I don't.
Man, get the fuck out of here. Ain't no Oscar for you.
Oh no.
No more than you ask Michael not to be himself. I will not ask you not to be a Christian today.
This is so fucking ridiculously fraudulent.
Yeah, that's his lawyer right there.
He's his own man. You understand that? And God is in control. You understand that? God is in control.
We're not gonna do anything with.
This is like scripted reality TV.
It is.
Like he literally
and
throws temper tantrums like a child. It is mind blowing that a grown man can throw a temper tantrum like that because someone spoke to him the way he didn't want them to.
And him beating on the floor, like you had mentioned. I mean, that's a perfect example of like a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum.
Right.
Yep.
Now,
isn't Natalia just the cutest little button you ever seen?
Oh,
when you like to dribble her.
Oh my god.
This all does seem like a reality TV show made up.
It does.
It really does. It comes off as that. And since football and baseball is all bullshit and fucking fake, I'm just going to go ahead and assume this all is too.
Because what if they? Yeah, because
the Epstein list dropped, right?
I do know. I did hear that.
It's all weird, man. Yeah, the dude's weird. The dwarf girl is weird. I don't know I'm not a politically correct person. I don't know if it's a dwarf, a midget. I don't care.
Right.
She is cute as a button, but she comes off as a made up crook to me too, who just, like I said before the show, she was given fucking lemons, man. She's trying to make some lemonade out of them, man. Do you, girl? Girl, shake that little booty if you have to, whatever it is.
Oh my God, you girl.
Bobby came to start some shit today.
It's weird, man.
This is gonna
get the
most views.
I was just reading a story about supposed aliens at the fucking Miami Mall. Man, shit. I don't know. I'm not here to say whether it's real or it's not, but I'm not you're right, man. If you get that vibe that this is like a made up reality TV show, it's probably because it fucking is. And if
I have so many mixed views on this after watching both seasons. Like, I really don't know what to think anymore, because the initial season, that's all I could think was orphan, you know. And it's funny because, like I said, I watched it right before we came to see you a couple months ago, like 6 months ago or something, Otis. And so I wasn't really sure how to feel. And so I felt really bad for the girl. Like, yes, she's definitely suffered some abuse. And that was evident through multiple eyewitness accounts, including Michael, the original adopted father. This tortoise is going to knock my table over. I'm so sorry. I don't know why they do this to me. But basically, they admit that she was beat. There were times where Christine actually had her on the floor and was punching her. She had pepper sprayed her for saying things she didn't want. sounds like Christine was absolutely paranoid and delusional, swore that this girl was much older than she was, swore that she was trying to sleep with her husband, exactly like the orphan. Just so many different things. And it sounds like she manipulated everyone in the household to go along with it. She manipulated the neighbors to believe it was true, to the point that the little girl Natalia played with every day, her mom wouldn't allow her around her anymore. And she's like, I've never seen any aggressive tendencies. I've never seen anything odd about the girl, but now I'm scared because you told me she was standing at the foot of your bed with a knife. Well, like Natalia said in the newest season, which I finished earlier, she's like, I can't even see the foot of your bed. The foot of your bed was above my head at that age. And she's like, I can't grip a fucking knife. Like, she was trying to grip the knife because
she had trouble grabbing things.
She's like, I cannot even grip a knife properly. Like, when she brushes her teeth with these fingers. Like, she cannot fully form a fist. So I have a hard time with some of that. Yeah, like, it's like, what are you standing, like, you know what I mean? It just, so she was like, even if I was standing there with a knife, I couldn't stab you with it. What good would it do? Like, exactly. Like, what good would it do? I don't have a full fist to put the pressure down to actually do any damage. So what am I going to do? Yeah. No, it's not. Don't lie.
It's weird, you know.
Sharp, but it is.
Have you seen those Britney Spears videos? And I feel bad for her because I know she's got a lot of mental issues, but with her, like, waving the knives, like, I can see you standing there doing that now, like, woo, with your knife there. Don't put on a polka dot bikini and start waving your knives around for us, okay?
Oh, there goes my afternoon.
But,
what were you going to say, Bobby?
Sorry.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
something. I was just
he said he
thinking,
wants to see you in the polka dot bikini. That's what he was going to say.
It's all right to joke about it and stuff because nobody has died in this case. Nobody was murdered.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. It just seems, there's a lot you can do when you have somebody who's maybe 20 years old and they say they're 5 or 6, man. You can get some pretty good tax money back at the beginning of the year.
Yes, you can.
You're filing taxes on a baby perpetually forever. Probably a good idea. I think they're all in on what they're in on, and God bless you, little girl, man. You were given some bullshit as a midget, man. Go ahead and get yours, girl. I'm not even going to be mad at you now.
I ain't even mad at you.
That was conflicting, though. In the first season, they convinced you, oh, the re-aging was proper. She said she was 7, but she's 22, and all these doctors said it was true. Come to find out, it was one family doctor that they probably fucking paid off to write the paperwork, and that's how they got her re-aged. So in the second season, they talk about that. And at the end, I was kind of conflicted. Like, what if she's really not a kid?
No.
Like, that's wild to me. But in the second season, they actually did DNA testing, and the DNA testing came back saying that she was somewhere between 20 and 22 currently, which would have put her at 6 to 8 years old when they adopted her.
Which means Michael and Christina should have been locked up for putting her in an apartment and taken off to Canada, which is really the crux of that whole, ordeal. Because I mean, really the foundation of this is the age. How old is she? And according to her biological mother, she was born in 2003.
Yep.
They spoke with her in 2020, and I guess she was on. They were talking to her sister. There was a recording, and they were on speakerphone. And her biological mother said, "I've been putting up with this shit pretty much for 17 years."
Yeah,
which puts her at that age where she was a child. I mean, it's fucking cruel. You put her in a fucking apartment, which can't get in a tub. She can't reach anything.
Right.
I mean, it's like, here, fend for yourself. I mean, but they apparently convinced everybody that she was of age at that time. I don't understand how, that corruption and that scamming, as you mentioned, Bobby, on all sides, that shit goes deep there.
Mm-hmm.
And the second apartment they put her in had 17 stairs just to get to her apartment.
That is so cruel.
And I don't care if she's 30, 40, 50 years old. You don't fucking do that to someone who clearly, she can't fake the dwarfism. You know what I mean? You don't fucking do that to someone, regardless of her age. And that takes us back to the, if my grandma lied to me, would I beat her ass? Like, no, you don't have the excuse of, I abused the shit out of her because she was actually 30 or 40 years old. she's still a person with dwarfism that had no
Right.
fucking way of defending herself. And you're beating her. Like, I don't care if she looked at you and said she fucking hated your guts and wanted to kill you. She's
With
not
a knife
capable.
between her 3 fingers.
Yeah,
Or
like
2
she's
fingers
not
and thumb.
capable. Like, that is so crazy to me. Like,
Yeah.
but in the end, they said the whole scheme of it, it sounds like this whole scam that Christine had planned was she wanted to take credit for her son being a genius. She wrote that book. She made $600,000 off of it. And she wanted to be the reason why he was a genius. And so everybody held her to this high standard. You're an incredible person. Oh my gosh, you're an amazing mom. And she had to hold on to that reputation because she even said it in a text to her husband. I'm famous. I can't have her ruin my reputation. We need to get rid of her.
Narcissist. Yes.
And so that's exactly what happened. So because if she were to just go ahead and give her back, like the original family did, it would make her look bad. Oh, you gave up on this girl. You gave up on this poor child that has dwarfism, can't take care of herself, and you didn't give her a chance. And so she said she couldn't have that. So then they made up this crazy, because what her goal was when she initially took Natalia in, according to Michael, was she was going to take Natalia and turn her into a genius. And then she was really going to be famous. And this would prove her point that she's that spark and she can change people and create fantastic things out of them. And because Natalia was average, she operated at a first grade level like a 7-year-old does. She wasn't serving her purpose. So then she said, I can't do this. She's too expensive. I have to pay thousands of dollars for her surgeries a couple times a year. I don't want to put all my book money into this girl. And so she said, I got to get rid of her. And that's basically what happened. She said, I got to come up with a story as to why it made sense for me to get rid of this girl. Because if I just say I'm done with it, I'm a horrible person. If I say she's the horrible person, then I'm okay. I'm scot-free. And that's awful. But what got me, like I said to you, Otis, before the show, I think that's when you walked away, Bobby. At the end of the second season, that was like kind of the thing that had me on the edge of my seat. At this point, I'm like, okay, fuck Michael, fuck Christine. You guys are horrible people. Like, I can't believe you would do this to a child. They proved she was a child, you know. And then I'm watching her reactions, and I've still got this weird feeling like she doesn't cry. You know, is she a sociopath? She doesn't have normal emotions about, you know, being sexually molested or being beat. You know, she kind of just puts her hands over her face and there's no real tears. So I had conflicting feelings about that. But then I put that aside. I'm like, okay, you know what? She might just be messed up from trauma.
Right.
Different responses from different people. At the end of that second season, the new family, the Man's family, adopts this girl officially. So they've had her now for 13 years. They found her in this Lafayette neighborhood where she was being mistreated and held in an apartment by herself, and her family moved to Canada and left her alone. So they took her in. So they've now had her for 13 years. At the end of that, they went and legally adopted her. They're all in tears saying, this is amazing. God presented this to us. We're so glad we have her. She's now officially ours. At the very end, 6 months later, they did an update. The producers got a phone call from the Man's family saying, and it kind of cracks me up because in the initial video, it's, this is God's house. We're not going to disrespect God. When the producers get the phone call from this guy, it's, she tweaking. Y'all need to take her back. I don't want her. I can't handle this. No, she
The
crazy.
true G came out, man. When you got a little psycho midget running around.
She done turned on me. And that kind of like threw me off. I was like, holy hell, now they're saying like the ghetto came out there. But he was like, nah, she tweaking. And they were like, what do you mean? And they were like, she's nuts. We don't want her. She turned on us. The things people are saying about her, tweaking. But yeah, basically they were like, we don't want anything to do with her. We're done with her. She is nuts. She stabbed us and her family in the back after we took her in. You know, she's as crazy as the other one said. So then I'm sitting there like, what the hell did she do? Like, what happened now? Did you stop getting her paychecks? Like, what was the motivation behind this? Or is she actually a fucking psycho? I want to know. You know, I'm like,
Inquiring minds want to know.
Right.
Yeah. Like I was on the
Because
edge of my
that,
seat
I
at
mean,
the end
that's
of that.
interesting. Yeah. I mean, that's
100%.
interesting.
Yeah. So now I'm like even more twisted in this whole thing. So I told Otis, I get online and I Google and I'm like, okay, was this just like bullshit the producers put in to put you on the edge of the seat so they could come out with a new season?
A new
so
season.
I Googled it. I know, like Natalia. Oh my gosh, my tortoise. I am so sorry. So I'll just hold my phone. So Natalia actually posted on her Instagram, proving that it was her account and that those things really happened. So the man's family really wanted nothing to do with her. They had some kind of fallout, but she wouldn't say what happened because she signed a contract with the producers of that show. She's not allowed to stay until the next season, but that's reality. They really want nothing to do with her. So yeah, pretty wild. I don't know.
Welcome, Donna. We're actually just getting ready
I'm with
to
you.
let's see the tortoise. Hold on, Donna
Oh, my
wants to see
goodness.
the tortoise.
Okay,
You
I'm
got
sorry, let me grab
tortoises
her.
in your room?
Let me grab her. She's about
All
to
right.
knock the table over again anyway. She's
She's
being crazy
100%
today.
about it. Just
Ugh.
saying.
Oh goodness, yeah. She's killing me
Bam.
today. This is
You playing?
the biggest one. She's destroying my
Aw.
table at the moment, but this is Mama. She's a sweetheart. Her for the true crime lovers, her name is
Aw.
Dahlia, like the Black Dahlia murder. So if you like
Dahlia
cold cases,
Trill.
then that's who she's named after. Her mate is Zodiac, named after the Zodiac killer. And then we have Little Ripper, that's a baby. And then we have Eileen for Eileen Warner's walking around our house right now too. So we're
Good
weirdos.
Lord.
But
And they
my
love to be
dog's having
loved on.
temper,
It's so cute.
I know, bro. I mean, it's like she's picking up a dog and just
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
on its head, man. Just
I think
grabbing
that's
a 100-pound fucking tortoise and
Hey,
setting it
buddy.
on her
I
lap.
feel like she gets
Come
picked,
here.
like she wants
Who's a good
attention. Yeah.
She's
Like, why
cute.
aren't you giving me attention? But they do actually love to be pet. For those of you guys that are like curious about them, their shells are a hard bone, but they're full of nerve endings. So like this
That feels
touch that I'm
good.
doing, this simple touch, she can actually feel it and she enjoys it. So it's
Oh,
kind of neat. They are kind of like little social dogs almost.
Wow.
She's got me out of
sweetie.
breath because she's heavy, but
Holy turtle, she's huge.
She is a big girl.
yeah. So I apologize for the dropping of my phone 10 more times. I need to find a better
She's
place
sweet.
to do this.
Oh, hey, no
So,
worries. You know,
yeah.
she always Dahlia always comes and says hi as well
She's
as your
famous.
kitties. Yes, that's Dahlia to Trill.
Yeah, so there she is. Sorry for the
sweetheart.
craziness again. Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
no worries. Well, it's been fun. I do have the perfect way to end this show because we have been talking about just how, I mean, Michael Barnett acts so over the top. It's hard to, you know, it's easy to get lost in him
Yeah.
versus what Natalia's done. And man, wait till you see this this little clip I'm going to end the show with. But first of all, before we go, again, we're going to be getting back into the Cheryl Coker case. We've been waiting to get Tina, her husband, and Shelly back on. And we're gonna dive deep into that. We got a lot of me and Bobby got boots on the ground. You know, we can do a lot. You know where we're at, and Kelly Trill and Los Zilla, which if you don't know who that is, you have to tune into last week's morning show and find out who this Los Zilla is. You guys are going to be coming out. We're all going to get boots on the ground. We're going to go out, you know, to the site where they found the remains. We're going to see what we can find. And again, we do have a whole list of cold cases that we're going to go through. And I mean, hey, when you do a Trill crime show, there's plenty of crime out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of cold cases out there.
Yeah.
And we have some, as you mentioned, Kelly, from the Maryland, PA, Ohio area. If there's a cold case that is in your neck of the woods, feel free to hit us up on Facebook. Hit me up at Facebook, Otis B. Dreads, or you can just go to Night of the Living Dreads. Dreads has no A in it. At gmail.com. Shoot me an email if there's a case you'd like to hear, you know, us talking about. Then, hey, we'll talk about it. We love doing this. We love talking. Donna says no shit. No shit. What? I
Talking
gotta
about the
find
tortoise.
out.
No, they got plenty of shit. It's quite large. So if you're
Oh.
referring to tortoises.
But
so
anyway, I want to thank everybody who joined us live listening at TM. I'm not sure who TM is over there on YouTube, who chimed in earlier. And whoever watches on the replay. Crazy cases, yes. And thank you. Oh, it's Tina.
Oh,
Hey,
awesome.
Tina.
Hey, Tina.
Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Awesome. So we are going to call it a day. We'll be back next Monday with who knows. We don't know. So enjoy this temper tantrum from Mr. Michael Barnett. I mean, you guys are gonna love this, man.
I'm on stage. We were all abused. I'm still not ready to stand up to her. And I'm not ready to. It's by that woman. My other two sons are abused by that woman right now today. That woman is a controlling, lying, manipulating woman. Sorry, I'm gonna get upset. Stay up. It's game time.